Hey everybody, Danny here with Danny Murphy and Associates at First Team Real Estate. We are doing our weekly update here on real estate in Southern California and Orange County. We've been doing a lot where we're talking about inventory levels and what's happening as we enter the new year. Inventory is starting to come up a little bit. We have more inventory today than we had this time last year, so I think that's good. If you're a buyer, you have more choice. From a pricing perspective, prices are fairly flat. We're not seeing a lot of upward pressure on prices, but it's been steady and secure. And then interest rate wise, we're seeing interest rates in the low 6% range. So that's been real steady for the last and consistent the last couple of months. We did dip down into the high fives for a period of time there, for a short period of time. So we're definitely seeing stable interest rates. So I think the overall theme right now is the market here, locally in Southern California is pretty stable. The other thing I wanted to talk about was a lot of cool questions that come up for buyers and sellers. In this case, the seller, we a lot of times get asked, what must I disclose when I'm a seller? And you get seller disclosure documents. So you get a bunch of paperwork you have to fill out. And on that paperwork, you put down things about the house. It's a bunch of questions and then answers that you have to provide related to your property. And so really important documents called a transfer disclosure statement and a seller property questionnaire. And those are documents that allow you to tell the future buyer during escrow everything that you know about the house that they should know, right? So put your hat on. If you're a buyer, what would you want to know about this house that you're buying? And as a seller, that's what you need to tell them. So things like, and I have some notes here, but if there's any known defects, material defects in the property, if there's hazards around you, if you're near a zone of noise, if there's a loud street, if there's any structural issues with foundations, if there's neighborhood disputes, if you have a neighbor that happens to like to cook meth or something like that, you have to disclose those kinds of things. There's also things that you can't disclose legally because you can get in trouble. So those are areas that we help you navigate, because if you disclose certain things, like there's a lot of laws now around sober living homes. That's a real hot topic, a real hot issue. People get very passionate about that, but there's actually some legal protections that people that live in and own sober living homes have. And so you do have to be a little bit careful as a seller and us as listing agents around what you disclose and how you disclose it. There's other things around, like if someone died in the house, you need to disclose that in the last 3 years. Usually you say of natural causes, if it was of natural causes. We have had people that have committed suicide in houses, and those are more delicate subjects that we have to talk about. So with disclosures, things around past insurance claims, for example. So if you've had an insurance claim on the property, those are questions that you have to answer because it can impact the future buyer's ability to get insurance. So there's a lot of things around disclosure, because I'll just tell you, like, we're in a very highly litigative environment where people love to sue, right? And these are some of the largest purchases and investments that people make. So there's a lot of money involved. There's often a lot of emotions involved. And so if you don't disclose properly, and a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, the future buyer and new owner of the home comes back and calls me and says, your seller didn't tell us X, Y, and Z. There was a leak behind a window and it created mold on the baseboards. There's all kinds of areas, and it can get really expensive really fast. So it's an area that we excel in helping you determine the best way to disclose things, not to scare a buyer away, but to make sure that you're protecting yourself legally, and that we're helping protect you as well with disclosures. So we're going to keep tackling a lot of these questions that we think are real important, whether you're a buyer or a seller, in this case a seller, filling out your disclosure documents when you're in an escrow selling a property. So we're here to help you with all your real estate needs. Reach out to us anytime with all of your questions. Thanks.